Hi, and welcome to Lab 3.2. In this lab, I'm going to be talking about the Metasploit utility. With the Metasploit utility, it's built into Kali, and what it does is pretty much, it's a database of exploits that could be used against targets. So it'll actually, run the exploit, run the payload, and actually, if we find the right exploit, we could gain access to a target. Alrighty, for this lab, I'm going to actually be targeting my Metasploitable toolbox, just because it does have a lot of open vulnerabilities. All right. I did, you know, copy down some commands as I was reading the chapter in the book that refers to Metasploit. So I'm going to be doing a little cutting and pasting from commands that I already came up with, as well as I did do some Google searches on Metasploitable too, what's vulnerable, so on and so forth. Because there are in Metasploit there are a lot of modules that could be used, and there are a lot of attacks that could be used. So part of the difficulty is really finding out what you want to use, what you want to attack, so on and so forth. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to pull up my Kali box and we'll start the MSF console. We'll let that load up. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you with the MSF console, it has a huge search function. So you could search by the type of thing you want to perform, like an exploit. You could search an OS platform, Windows, Linux, as well as an application type you want to exploit. Okay, so what I decided to actually do is search for an FTP exploit, and that's what I'm going to probably start out by using this FTP exploit to exploit the Metasploitable box. I did notice also as I was, testing this previously, sometimes you have to run the exploit a few times in order for it to work. It might not work the first time, so you have to try it again, sometimes two or three times in order to, validate if the exploit really works or not. Alrighty, so here we go. We're going to do a search. VS FTP. And here we see it found a module that it could use. Here's the exploit that I'm going to use. It has an excellent risk, which means, there's a great possibility it could be used, and that it'll work. It's a backdoor command execution. All right, so in order to use this, in this case, we could just use U0, because 0 is actually the number of the exploit right here. You can see right here now it shows up in red the exploit that we're going to use, which is good. Now we have to do a show options to see what options that we could set up for this exploit. In this case, we see that our port's 21. That can be changed if, we want to target a different port. We're going to have to set this rhost command. We're going to have to set this rhost address. This is actually the address that we want to attack. So in my case, it's going to be Metasploitable, my Metasploitable. So let's set the rhost. Set rhosts 192.168.99.9. Once again, that is, as I said, that's my Metasploitable box. So we'll set that. We'll do our show options again to make sure it's set. You can see here right now the rhost address is set. Now it's just a simple exploit. And we'll see what happens. It's trying. As you can see, this time it didn't work, but let's try it again. U0, set the host, exploit. That green I think is a little better here. Okay, so you can see here from shell, command shell session 1, it appears, that we're actually attached to the box right now, even though we don't see anything down here near the cursor. So let's just do, and I have let's do who am I first. You can see I'm root right now in this system. Let's do an ifconfig. And look at this, we could actually see the address of 192.168.99.9. So I am actually attached to my Metasploitable box. So without having to put a password in or anything, just by using this exploit, I was able to get into my Metasploitable box. Okay, so we could exit out of here. Let's do back to bring us back to a previous state. Okay, so that's one exploit that was already performed on the Metasploitable. I did find two more, but one that I really want to try and look at is one that we could actually do a reverse telnet, or I'm sorry, a reverse connection. So when a reverse connection, actually after the exploit and payload is run, it's going to send the connection back to our attacking box, in this case my Kali. So can actually be useful, if we want to, if a firewall is slowing us down, we want to see the connection initiate from our attacker box instead of our attacked box. So in order to do that, we're going to actually have to set the R host as well as the L host. So I did find an exploit that we could already run, but that requires us to change the payload as well. So I'm going to first set the payload that I want to use. And here I'm going to be cutting and pasting just in the essence of time and error. I just cut it instead of copied it, so let me fix that. Okay. Now we're going to set the exploit that we want to use. In this case, it's going to be a Java RMI exploit. Let's do our show options. And we see here there's a couple more options we could actually set. The R hosts can be changed here. Just close out of this email. Okay. So let's set the R host and the L host. So the R host, once again, that's going to be the machine that I want to attack. In this case, I'm Metasploitable. And we should set our local host. So that's going to be my Kali box address. So that after, as I said, after the payload is ran, it comes back to the attack will come from, it will make a connection back to my box, or my attacker box, which is the Kali box. Okay, and if that's all set, let's do a show options again. We can see here that the R host is set. So let's try the exploit and see what happens. We can see here, starting stage. And we see that it opened, but it closed right away. So let's try this one more time, just to see. Set the payload. Actually, did it just go through? Let's see. No, okay, sorry. So let's set the payload again. We'll find our exploit. And we should be able to exploit it because it should have all the same information already, but let's do show options. To make sure, yep, the R host is still set, so let's try it again. Let's give it a little while longer. I promise you this did work earlier when I tried it. Server stopped. Okay, let's try it again. Payload. Uncommon command set. Let's set payload. You know what, let's exit out of here and just go back in again. Let's go back and try this one more time. There's the payload. There's the exploit. There's our R host. Let's find the L host again. And see if we have better luck this time. Starting the stage. I'm sorry, sending the stage. Server stopped. We'll try it one more time. It seems like it's opening the session and closing it right away. I promise you it did work the other time when I tried it. But as I said, it's really trial and error. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's why it's hard to tell, if these exploits really work or not. But I'm going to try this time. I'm just going to exit out of hello, back. Exit yes. What I'm going to try is I'm going to exit out of Metasploitable altogether and go back in. Just to see if maybe Metasploitable is hung up a little bit. Here's our MSF console. Okay, so we're going to start by setting the payload. Once again, I'm just going to copy and paste. Because these commands, they can get a little bit long and not the easiest to type out. Especially if we can get to the larger, longer commands. Okay, let's set our R host. Okay, let's do our show options. Okay, good, that's set. Exploit. And we'll see what happens. Ooh, got a little further this time. Session 9 opened. Let's see. And then it looks like it closed right away. All right, so much for that. As I said, I know this does work. It takes a little practice though, and you need a lot of time. So I did find one other exploit that I could try and use for the Metasploitable. 2box. Oh, session's open. Let's see, is it going to work? Just see. No, okay. Let's do back. Okay, I did see one other exploit in our book, so we'll give that a shot. Use 0. Okay, so we got it. Good. Let's set the host. Exploit. And again, we're running into this issue where, it doesn't want to work. So 1 out of 3, I guess, in our case. Okay, so moving on from here, there's also this Armitage program that we could use, which is actually a graphical form of the Metasploitable. Okay, so in the Armitage here, you could see it's a GUI. So we could search for exploits. Let's try and find the first one that I used. VSFTP. Let's just search for that. VSFTP. Here it is right here. So what you're going to do, on the left, you see it. You're just going to drag it over to the box you want to attack. It automatically fills in all the information for us. Let's launch it. Let's give it another shot. Ta-da. Services. Okay, we'll try this one more time. Okay, here we go. This is good. So here we can see at the exploits run, you can see the box turns red. Then if we right click on it, we can interact with the box. Again, you'll see a shell down here. Have config. Boom, there it is. So we use that exploit in Armitage. It's a GUI-based system, and in my opinion, that's a lot easier than going through the command line. And it does run MSF console or Metasploitable in the background to get its information. All right. And by the way, I got these boxes to show up here because of the Nmap that was done, which I forgot to show you. So let me show you that as well. Let's go back to our console. Let's go back. And from here, you could run Nmap as well, but you have to use it with the database command. So db underscore Nmap 192.168.99.9. You can see all our open ports here. Okay, and I want to actually show you the services as well. So let me just pull that up here. If we do services now that this Nmap's up in the database, there's all the services that are running, okay? I know part of this lab was also who's supposed to do an OpenVAS report dump into here. I had a lot of trouble with that. I couldn't really get my Metasploit to actually work with OpenVAS. So I did try the connect command, the OpenVAS connect command, and let me just show you the error I got because I don't want to give out my password. So when I tried that, I did get this error here, right here. I kept on getting this error, so it would not connect to the database. Alrighty, so I think that's going to be about it for this lab, and I hope you have a great day.